Have you ever woken up feeling like you've lost a day? You know, that groggy, disoriented feeling where you think it's Friday, but it's only Thursday. Well, what if that happened to an entire town? And what if the day they lost was real? This is the story of Blackwood Creek, the town that supposedly forgot a day. Our story begins on what everyone in town believed was the morning of Monday, June 14, 1954. Shopkeepers opened their stores, children headed to school, and the daily rhythm of small-town life began, just as it always did. The milkman delivered milk, the postman delivered mail postmarked from the previous Friday, and people greeted each other with Happy Monday. But there was a problem. It wasn't Monday. It was Tuesday, June 15th. 400 people had collectively, inexplicably skipped a full 24 hours of their lives, and not a single one of them noticed. The first hint that something was wrong came from the outside world. A traveling salesman, a man named Arthur Vance, rolled into town around lunchtime on Tuesday. He went to the local diner, ordered a coffee, and casually mentioned something about the baseball game from the night before. The waitress, a young woman named Clara, just smiled and said, "Well, the game's not till tonight." Arthur was confused. He pulled out his newspaper, dated Tuesday, June 15th, showing the final scores. Clara laughed, thinking it was some kind of novelty paper. "Funny joke," she said, "but everyone knows today's Monday the 14th. Arthur looked around the diner. Everyone was nodding in agreement. He was the odd one out. He wasn't just being pranked. These people genuinely believed it was Monday. The confusion snowballed from there. Phone calls from relatives in other cities were met with bewilderment. "What do you mean you called me yesterday?" a resident might say. "Yesterday was Sunday. I was at church. Delivery scheduled for Tuesday never arrived. Or rather, the delivery drivers were told they were a day early." The town's calendar was seemingly out of sync with the rest of the planet. Imagine the chaos. Bank appointments missed. Supply trucks turned away telegrams from outside reading like messages from the future. The town of Blackwood Creek had become an island in time. So, what could cause an entire town to lose a day? This is where the story branches into a dozen different theories, each more bizarre than the last. The initial, rational explanation was a collective prank, an elaborate hoax. But who could possibly coordinate 400 people, from toddlers to the elderly, to participate in such a seamless deception? And for what purpose? The logistical nightmare of it makes the prank theory seem almost as impossible as the event itself. Not a single person broke character. There were no slips of the tongue, no winks and nods. The belief was total. This led investigators and curious minds down a rabbit hole of more speculative ideas. One of the most popular theories involves mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon where a shared delusion spreads through a population. The idea is that perhaps one influential person, maybe the mayor or the preacher, made a mistake about the date, and the suggestion was so powerful in this tight-knit community that it became a collective reality. But can mass hysteria make you genuinely forget an entire day's worth of experiences? What did they do on the real Monday, the forgotten June 14th? Did they live it and then have those memories wiped clean? Then there are the more unconventional theories. At the height of the Cold War, whispers of secret government experiments were everywhere. One theory posits that Blackwood Creek was the unwitting test site for some kind of experimental gas or psychological weapon designed to induce memory loss or confusion. Proponents of this theory point to unconfirmed reports of strange, unmarked aircraft flying over the area in the days leading up to the event. Did the government accidentally or intentionally erase a day from the minds of these citizens? The records, of course, are sealed or non-existent, which only adds fuel to the conspiratorial fire. And we can't talk about a mystery like this without touching on the paranormal. Blackwood Creek is situated in a region known for strange geological anomalies and folklore about time slips. Local legends, which were mostly dismissed before 1954, spoke of areas in the woods where time seemed to move differently. Was the town caught in some kind of natural temporal distortion? A bubble in spacetime that jumped forward, taking everyone with it. This sounds like science fiction, but when faced with an event that defies logical explanation, people start looking for answers in the illogical. Some even whispered about alien abduction, that the entire town was taken for 24 hours, their memories of the event replaced with a loop of a non-existent Monday. The aftermath was just as strange as the event itself. Once the town was forced to accept the calendar reality, a profound sense of unease settled over Blackwood Creek. How do you go on with your life knowing there's a 24-hour blank spot in your past? People tried to piece together the lost day. Did anyone see anything unusual on Sunday night? Were there any clues? But there was nothing. The last memory for everyone was going to bed on Sunday, and the next was waking up on what they thought was Monday. The newspapers from the actual Monday, June 14th, became prized, almost sacred objects. They showed a world that had moved on without them. The weather report for that day, the national news, the stock market results, it was all a history they hadn't lived. Life in Blackwood Creek was never quite the same. The event, which became known as the Lost Day or Black Monday, became a part of the town's identity. For a while, it attracted tourists and paranormal investigators, but eventually, the residents grew tired of the attention. They became insular, protective of their strange shared secret. The children who grew up after the event were told the story in hushed tones, a cautionary tale, though a cautionary tale about what? No one was quite sure. Years later, researchers and psychologists interviewed the remaining residents. The accounts were remarkably consistent. There was a shared blank, a communal void. Some had developed a nervous obsession with calendars and clocks, constantly checking to make sure time was still behaving as it should. Others refused to speak of it at all, treating the memory of the non-memory as a trauma. It raised fascinating questions about the nature of time, memory, and consciousness. Is our memory of the past what makes it real? If 100 people share a false memory, does it create its own kind of truth? Today, Blackwood Creek is mostly a ghost of its former self. The story has faded into the realm of folklore, a modern urban legend you might hear around a campfire. There's no definitive proof, no government admission, no scientific paper that can neatly explain what happened. All that remains is the unsettling story of a town that woke up one morning to find that yesterday never happened. It serves as a chilling reminder that our grip on reality, on time itself, might be far more fragile than we think. So, what do you believe happened in Blackwood Creek? A prank, mass hysteria, a government experiment, or something else entirely? The mystery is what makes the story so enduring. It's a puzzle with a missing piece, and that missing piece is an entire day. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by strange events and unsolved mysteries like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the unexplained. And let me know in the comments what you think happened on the lost day of Blackwood Creek. See you next time.